So new season, kind of tension because the context is quite difficult internationally, economically, socially. And so socially, do we say socially in English? Not sure.
Yes, you do. You do.
Okay. And so could you comment on the attitude of Christie's now before the big auction in New York?
So thank you very much, Judith, for asking me to comment on the sales. So we come to this sale, to these New York sales, with a confident attitude, which is corroborated and strengthened by a series of good sales that we've been having since the beginning of 2024. We had a solid season in London twice. We had a good 2021 season, and then a week later, we had very, very strong results for the modern British sales, which is relevant because it's an up and coming, and actually not up and coming. A lot of artists are up and coming, but it's an area that is perceived as have not plateaued and still growing. And actually, it did grow more than 20% year on year for the results this year, with beautiful competitions in the sale room for historical pieces by Henry Moore, and so then that was followed by a very, very good week in Paris, again for Impressionist and Modern Art, where we made again more than last year, year on year, and unbelievable amounts of sell-through rates, 88, 90% for the week.
So, but to keep on obtaining the trust of the buyers, you need to have a special behavior, right? And the behavior is about guarantee.
Well, the behavior is about a mix of things. First of all, we need to be choosy and selective about what we want to get and what we want to pursue, where we put our attention, our efforts, our money, and our care. So the selection and the way that this is an abused term, and we've been hearing it a lot, but it's important to use it again. How curated are the sales?
Meaning you refuse some work of art.
Meaning that in certain situations, if necessary, we have to decide that we're not committing to sell a certain work or a certain collection because the financial deal is not interesting enough, or because it's too expensive. So it's a very complex frame of mind for an expert, a specialist, to say no, but it's becoming important to discipline ourselves and to be very rigorous in the way we put together auctions. But by doing this, we got to the March sales in various geographies, and this has been the spirit and the philosophy behind the sales that you see in New York next week. And I think it stems from an understanding of the audience and respect for the audience. So we need to respect the collectors and the fact that they want to play, but they want to play at a certain game, you know. And if you want to tango, you need to be true. And if we want to do this kind of tango, we need to be the first to say we're not asking too much for works. We need to really come in with the right estimates, the right amount of works. Too many works are too difficult to digest and to accept. We need to have sales that are the right size. They have to be the right balance. They have to have interesting works that are historical. And they have to have a mix of very young works. But the young works as well have to be priced in a way that respect what is asked in galleries and what is their retail price. So it's a very difficult exercise, and an exercise that has to be done collegially with both sides of the Atlantic speaking all the time.
And so this time there are two stars. One is a collection, the La Cruz famous collection from Miami.
Yes.
With a very sharp eye. And the other one is Monet. He's a star of the season. He's not exactly young.
No, not exactly young.
And you don't have very late work, huh? The late work which are flirting with abstraction. You have earlier works, right?
Yes.
Could you speak about your star, your Monet star?
So our Monet star is a wonderful piece that is called Le Moulin de Limet. So we have many Monets, and as you say, you're absolutely right. Monet is at the center of attention, not only Christie's, but also Sotheby's, which says a lot. Don't forget this year is the 150 years since the beginning of Impressionism. You have certainly seen, and actually you covered it, the exhibition at the Musée d'Orsay. I think that had a boost to the interest that sellers manifested in terms of like, this is the time, the place, and the action to sell Monet and to have good results. And he's still a very, very global artist. You know, I was in China last week to give lectures actually about the Moulin de Lunettes, and the audience is still mesmerized when you talk about Monet and Impressionism. You really have a captive sense of response, a captive audience, and that is really important to us. So this Lunettes has a good story because, as I was telling you before, it's a painting of 1888, and he is for the first time being seduced by the idea of representing the same motif twice. I mean, as you know, series will become seminal and the centerpiece of his world and what we see from Monet and what we remember in the acme, the aboutissement of this is the Nymphéa. But at the moment, it's the first time he does it twice, and he sees this very beautiful mill on the river. Of course, he's not interested in the prosaic idea of the mill. He's interested on the reflection of the water, of the light, and the foliage, and the way the foliage is framing in a very old mastery way the composition. But at the same time, the composition is vibrating and shimmering with the light of the day. And he started 1888 in the south of France. He was in the south of France at the beginning in Antibes, so he comes back, his eyes are full of that light, and he really translates it into this depiction of the Moulin. Now, there was another version, the other version, that the two I mentioned to you, has been sold very recently and with great success. And the market loves a recent story.
How much?
For 25 million, more than $25 million, and that was a great sale by our competitors. And as I said, you know, there is a recent comparable that talks to new buyers and old buyers that need to get into the competition. The Agon, they'd like to have like a safe reference that is actually very relevant, very cogent, very recent.
Mm-hmm. So, merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous.